Oh, hello, hello, happy Friday and happy 4th of July to my Americans out there. This is 5 Question Friday. I am Sarah of Expat in Croatia, and every Friday for the last 5 years, I have answered questions from you on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, expatinCroatia.com, our consulting sessions, and people who etch them into a stone tablet. I am in Texas, and it is the 4th of July today. Independence Day, right? Yes? I've been gone a while. And I'm in a little town called Canton, which is about southeast of Dallas. And right now there's a big 4th of July event that's happening right behind me, and they're doing a watermelon eating contest. And they're playing some pretty darn good tunes. I just want to quickly pick you up and take you over there and show you what's going on. And then I'm going to tell you a fun fact about Canton that reminds me about Croatia. All right, guys, you're going to get to see some 4th of July festivities.
That's what I'm talking about. Parents, y'all are doing amazing, parents.
So that big crowd over there is a watermelon eating contest. Right now they're doing the 4 to 6-year-olds who need to be reminded multiple times that they cannot use their hands. So there must have been like a couple dozen watermelons all stacked up over there ready for the contest, and so they've got like, it's officially 4th of July because sirens are going off. Somebody's already doing something. So, hi, welcome. So let me tell you about why this town reminds me of Croatia. There's, in my opinion, my experience, I feel like Croatia and Texas have a lot of similarities, and one of those similarities is because of this town. So on the first Monday of every month, they have a giant flea market called First Monday. In Croatia, there is a town called Benkovac, and there they have a giant flea market that happens on the 10th of every month. So it's a pretty kind of similar thing that I wanted to share with you. But yeah, so I'm out here. Actually, I'm staying by a lake that is 20 minutes, I guess, from here, where there is absolutely zero phone signal at all, like none whatsoever. And we're just fishing and eating and barbecuing, and that's about it. And tonight we're gonna go out on the boat, on the lake, and see the fireworks, and it's gonna be a pretty good time. I have not been in the States for the 4th of July, and I don't know, I guess since I moved, longer than since I moved to Croatia, maybe at least 13 years. That would be my guess. So I'm pretty excited. We got lots of like ribs and hamburgers, and we're gonna make peach cobbler. It's gonna be a great time. So aside from that, one other thing I wanted to share with you is something I've been talking about for the last couple of weeks, and that is 5 Question Friday is coming to an end. So this is episode 198. And on July 18th, we're going to be celebrating the 200th episode in person with a big old party that you're all invited to. If you have not RSVP'd yet, I would suggest that you do so if you're going to be around Split or you want to come to Split for the party, because we only have 10 spots left. We're almost full. So if you would like to join us for that party, we're going to have good Croatian tunes and good Croatian food, and it's going to be a good time. So Friday, July 18th, we're not putting out the location because it is RSVP only, whereas pre-registration is required because we're dealing with like a max capacity kind of issue, but it will be in the Split City Center. So to RSVP to that and get one of our final spots, you need to go to expatinCroatia.com/RSVP. And in the meantime, if you can't be there, we've got some nice fun stuff planned for everyone who's going to be joining live for that event as well. So it's okay if you can't be here. You can still participate by watching in 2 weeks on July 18th. So next week will be the last kind of regular episode like this. And then on July 18th, we'll have kind of the big, super big party finale thing. So that's what's going on here. So I'm going to go ahead and dig into the questions now. So let's do it, shall we? All right. So our first question comes from Richard on the 5 Question Friday forum. Can I build a small house on a block of land that is described as vočnjak? So vočnjak means orchard. And when it comes to land, there's a number of different kind of ways that they zone property. You have residential property, you have agricultural land, you have building land, you have forest, and you have an orchard. So no, you cannot build a house on land classified as an orchard unless the land is officially reclassified as building land through a land use change in the local zoning plan. So agricultural land, including orchards, is not intended for residential construction. Building is only allowed for agricultural purposes. That would be like a field hut or a greenhouse, tool and equipment storage, and even those require permits and must comply with local planning regulations. So what can I give you for this? So we have a guide on how to get a building permit in Croatia. So with all of the guides I'm going to mention on today's episode, if you would like those, you can either go to expatinCroatia.com, that's the fastest way, or you can DM us if you're on Instagram. If you're on YouTube, it's down below in the video description. Everybody else, drop a comment on your social channel and we will get it over to you. Hey, Romy from France is here. Hi, everyone from New York. Wonderful. Natural Healing Choir is here. Liek Lava. Mary, Villa, Pamplinota, Crick, CRB, Ali, Ivana. Welcome. All right, so our next question comes from Brian on the 5 Question Friday forum. If I apply for citizenship along with my son, can he choose to renounce his citizenship before he turns 18 if he wishes to at that time? So yes, you can always renounce your Croatian citizenship. That's something you can do. That being said, there are 2 reasons that you can renounce citizenship. One is to get citizenship in another country, and the other is just because you want to. If you do it just because you want to, you cannot get it back. Like, you would have to go through naturalization if you were to give it up, if you got citizenship based on heritage. So that's important to understand, because naturalization is nearly impossible to get. It means you have to live in Croatia for at least 8 years. You have to obtain long-term residence. You have to take the culture, language, and history test, and you have to give up your other citizenships. So if you get citizenship by descent, it is not advisable that you give up your citizenship, because you're making a permanent choice at that point not to have Croatian citizenship ever again. Now, the reason that I'm guessing she's asking this question, or Brian's asking this question, is because of military service, because he mentions his son and turning 18, and the mandatory military service is going to be for men who are 18 to 30. And that's going to start next year. So look, everyone has their own choice to make, and it sounds like, based on what Brian's saying, that this is going to be left up to his son to make his own decision once he turns 18, whether or not he wants to give up citizenship or participate with the military service. But I do want to just remind everyone about a few different important points about the military service, okay? It's not guaranteed that you're going to be called to even do the military service, because they're only calling about 4,500 people a year. So that's important to keep in mind. It's only for 2 months. It's only for 2 months, and then you're done. You can consciously object, and then you can do civil service instead, which is 4 months. You do get paid during this time as well. And it can also be deferred for a variety of reasons, which means you still have to do it, but you can push it out until after school or something. There's a few other reasons aside from education that you can defer it. So I would encourage everyone to really give some good thought before you think about giving up your citizenship. I did have a consulting call with a guy who got citizenship, went through one of our lawyers, and now has decided he wants to give it up. And that's a big decision. That's a very permanent decision. So keep that in mind, all right? Okay. So we do have a guide on how to give up your citizenship if you would like that. We also have our very detailed guide on Croatia's mandatory military service. Again, that has not been passed yet, but we're expecting it to be passed in the fall. There could still be more delays, but right now that's the current estimate. So if you'd like that, contact us or go to expatinCroatia.com. Welcome, Arif, Adrian, Madison, Josipa, Francisca. Hi, everybody. Okay, so here's your next question from Robert here on Instagram. How can you become a notary in Croatia? What kind of education is needed? Well, becoming a notary public in Croatia is not easy. First, you need a law degree. Then you need to have passed both the bar and the notary exam. So essentially you have to do all the same things as a lawyer. You just don't actually become a lawyer. You become a notary instead. So you can apply to become a notary after gaining 5 years of legal experience. That's after your education. And the notaries are appointed by the minister through a competitive selection process, which takes into account your exam results and your work experience. We actually do have a post on how to become a notary in Croatia. So we've got that if you want it. From Madison, what does the process look like moving to Croatia from the US? Well, for starters, you need to figure out on what basis you are going to live here. Like if you have Croatian heritage, there's a residence program for you. If you don't have Croatian heritage, then you really need to think about what your goals are, because there's not a lot of, unless you're working, there's not a lot of options for you to stay long-term in Croatia. So that's something that you should think about first. And then if you settle on the path to residence, then you're definitely going to need a background check to obtain residence, and that's something you should get before you leave the United States. So there's a few other things to consider, but those are the first couple of steps I would recommend. Also, we have a residence guide specifically for Americans that goes over all of your options, as well as other things you should think about in terms of buying real estate, driver's license, where your embassy is, all that kind of stuff. So if you'd like that, check out our site. And on that note, not just so we're American-centric, we have residence guides for Australian citizens, British citizens, New Zealand citizens, South African citizens, EU citizens, non-EU citizens. So we have Ukrainian citizens. So we have some that are a bit more specific. Mindful Mermaids here. Hey! Who else? Jeff's Travels, who's up in Dallas. I got to meet Jeff. Eat some queso for me. I'm missing that right now. I had some queso the day I got here. How long have I been here now? I got here Wednesday. I had some queso at Esparza's in Grapevine. It was tasty. I enjoyed it, and I had not had queso in a very, very long time. So I got you covered, Jeff. All right. So next question, this is from Rob. So the last question was from Robert. This one's from Rob on Instagram. I'm working on citizenship by descent. My grandfather shortened his name in his petition for naturalization. Do I need to provide a copy of his naturalization document with an apostille? No. Naturalization documents do not require an apostille. So only primary identity and lineage documents require an apostille or legalization, like birth certificates, marriage certificates, death certificates, adoption records, and background checks. Those all need to have an apostille put on them, but supporting documentation like a naturalization certificate does not require that. So you have to worry about that. Of course, we do have a very detailed guide on how to apply for citizenship by descent, so we can get that to you. All right, we have a comment from Francisca. If there's a problem in Castella police station because people in charge are on sick leave indefinitely, could I do the same procedure in Trogir to get my residence? I'm living in Castella. Unfortunately, no, because when you are applying for residence, you have to do it at the administrative police station in your municipality. So you can't go to Trogir to apply for residence in Castella, unfortunately. And that really stinks, because that does happen where people end up on sick leave indefinitely. Now, there's initial processing that's done at the police station, but then there's a second step of processing that is actually done in Zagreb. So it depends on how long you've been waiting, but you may want to engage with a lawyer who might be able to push things through. If you want a connection to someone who's in a Castella area, please contact us and we'll hook you up with somebody, all right? Hey, Carter, Mac, Adventures of Kay. All right, so our next question, is this the last one? Yes, this is our last question for today. This is from Andressa on the 5 Question Friday forum. I'm getting married to a Croatian citizen. As a non-EU citizen holding a 1-year residence permit based on other purposes that expires a few months from now, I would like to know if I can apply for new residence based on my marriage certificate as soon as I get married, or do I need to wait until my existing permit expires? Either. You can wait until your current permit expires and then apply for residence based on family reunification with your Croatian spouse, or you can cancel your current permit and then lodge a new application based on family reunification. If it were me, that's what I would do. And this is why. Because the time you spend on other purposes does not count towards long-term residence at all, and it has a lot of other restrictions. But residence based on family reunification with a Croatian citizen does count towards long-term residence, and it also gives you freedom to work, and there's a lot of other benefits that come with it. So I would just not waste any time on other purposes longer than you have to. I would cancel that and start the new application as soon as you possibly can. We do have a guide on how to get residence based on being a spouse of a Croatian, so contact us and we can get that over to you. Carter has a comment. Nice to finally chat. Been in Croatia 3 years in Šibenik. Your page has been very helpful. Sorry for sending the question here. I see now they were pre-sent. I missed your question up here. My wife just got citizenship by descent. We got married in April. Can I submit my paperwork to get citizenship off here, or will I have to do the test and everything? We got married in April. Okay. I see what you're saying. Well, you have been in Šibenik. All right, so I'm going to say this, Carter. Most likely, yes, you can go ahead and start an application. And I'm saying most likely because you gave a lot of information about the context, but not quite enough for me to say definitively. It really kind of depends on how she obtained citizenship by descent. So I would say most likely you can do that. But here's the reason I'm saying most likely but not definitely, is because when you are married to a Croatian citizen, you have two paths to citizenship. One is residence-based, and one is for spouses of people who get it by descent, which is what you are. However, when you're living in Croatia, sometimes MUP can automatically be like, okay, well, you're living here now, so now you need to go by residence, and residence takes longer. And you can't know which way MUP is going to really go, because it's a little, the boundaries aren't super clear in the law about that. So it really is up to the caseworker and how they decide to interpret the law, whether or not they're going to make you go by Article 11 or Article 10. You want to go by Article 11. That's how you would be able to apply now. But they might force you to apply Article 10. I would say that you could go talk to MUP first and see if they'll allow you to submit an application. If they don't, I would talk to a lawyer to see if they can help you manage to submit an Article 11 application rather than having to wait on 10. Because with 10, you have to have 4 years of continuous temporary residence based on family reunification. Then you have to apply for long-term residence. And then the moment that you get long-term residence, you can apply for citizenship. So if you need any help with that, don't hesitate to reach out to us so we can point you in the right direction, all right? Okay, Mary Ellen's here. Hi, Mary Ellen. Evo, Thelma, Jean, another Evo, Pia, Marina, Mrs. Tuscan, yeah? Okay, so those are our questions for today. Thank you for showing up. If you joined kind of late, just to let you know what all of the commotion is going on behind me, I am in Texas today. I'm in a little town called Canton. Do you know what the population of Canton is? If it was more than 1,000, I would be surprised, if I'm being honest. But today is the 4th of July, which is Independence Day here in the United States. So there is a giant, well, not giant because it's a small town, but like there's a big 4th of July celebration going on behind us on this town square. And they're currently doing a watermelon eating contest, which sounds awesome. So just to wrap this whole thing up, as a reminder, this is episode 198, and the 200th episode in 2 weeks is going to be our last episode ever. We're throwing a giant party in Split with music and food and good vibes, and we only have 10 spots left. Well, that was as of yesterday afternoon, so I don't know if maybe some of those spots are gone now, but as of yesterday, we have 10 spots left. So if you think you might be in Split on July 18th, or you'd like to come and hang with us, I know I've seen quite a few names on the list who are actually traveling down to Split for this party. So a lot of the Expat Croatia team is going to be there, aside from myself. Cam, our other host for 5 Question Friday, our newest junior consultant Mariana is going to be here, Valentina, our newest copywriter, is going to be here, Maria, our editor-in-chief, is going to be here, Tamara, who is our finance manager, is going to be here, maybe our other Tamara, who's a relocation specialist, is going to be here. I mean, there's at least 5 or 6 of us are going to be here. Anyways, we would love to see you. We would love to meet you in person. We've got a lot of special stuff planned for that party. And if you cannot be there in person, it's going to be a really special episode here. So we hope that you will tune in live, because we've got some ideas for how those of you at home can participate. So thank you so much for all your support and being here and watching. And that is about all I got for today. Ooh, Carter came back to me. Living here on a work visa for the last 3 years, so I see what you're saying. Maybe I'll come visit and Split and get a kava. That'd be great. Or I hope you can come to the party on July 18th. Okay, yes, Article 11 is what you're looking for. All right, guys, so I am off to go buy peaches for cobbler and to go fishing and barbecue and enjoy this 4th of July holiday. So, yeah, I'll see you next week for the last regular episode of 5 Question Friday. And in the meantime, if you have any questions, feel free to send them over to us. Oh, and I want to say one more thing. We are transitioning to something new after this. It's going to be called EIC Q&A. So it's going to be the same kind of premise of 5 Question Friday. We're still going to answer your questions. We're just going to do it in different ways. So you can continue to send us questions the way that you have, and we will answer them. They're going to go in the exact same queue. We're just calling it something different. Instead of a weekly live program, we're going to do individual questions that are going to go into our feeds. That way everybody can see it. So that's it. And I'll see you later. So, vidimo se, ciao.